Welcome everybody to Bugbears and Brews. My name's Brian and today I'm recapping the 6th session of our Tomb of Annihilation campaign, Home with the Sick Daughter, so I figure I'm going to knock it out nice and early this week. First thing, we're a couple players short, a couple people had some real life things come up. Real life's always first, not a big deal. So we were down to 4 versus our usual 6. But started out with you guys entering Gambala and taking a look around, and first thing you notice is like all the buildings are old, destitute, kind of run down. Uh, Looks like this place has been relatively abandoned for some time. That said, off in the distance you did see some smoke rising up. Decided, you know what, let's go check that out, because it looked like some sort of like cook fire, campfire type smoke there. As you guys are walking down the thoroughfare though, looking around, there was some discussion about whether or not the amount of skulls that were decorating the place was appropriate compared to the size of the town. So there was a issue of Fitz, I think, mainly was thinking there was not enough skulls for the size of the area. So thinking, maybe this isn't everybody, who knows. But as you guys went on, the size of town to skull ratio evened out, and Fitz was happy. Tim, not so much, because he thought we were picking on him. But it's a really weird thing to bring up. Like, oh, this town is this big, and this doesn't look like it's enough skulls for it. It's just a really weird mathematical moment there. And we went into the skull to town ratio a little bit too long, I think. But we had fun. At least I had fun. It seems like most other people had fun with it. The trail of smoke, as you guys followed it, did lead to a house, the only house that looked to be in, we'll call it okay shape. And even though it was a house to begin with, this house looks like it was kind of scavenged, or the residents scavenged other pieces from other houses to keep this house in relatively okay shape. So it's kind of really mismatched hodgepodge of houses, but did the job. The door was like a curtain type deal, so you guys could see underneath the curtain and could see some feet kind of shuffling around there, not really moving very quickly. You guys went up, knocked down the wall, and out came a severely arthritic, cataract-ridden, stringy hair, teeth so bad you can almost call them gibbers, old woman. I don't think almost. I think we could call them gibbers. And through the talk, through some small talk, you kind of found out that the only name that she could remember was Nanny. And she has two distinct personalities going on. One is kind of a addled-minded old woman who easily distracted, but just enjoying life. And the other one is a witch doctor, which is actually what you came here for. So anytime you guys brought up conversations about like, hey, how's the weather? What's going on? Your day-to-day stuff, that sweet old lady came out. And then if you ever talked about like occulty, magic, death, that kind of stuff, the witch doctor came out. And each time that she did a transition, she would wait for you guys to not be looking, go into her hut, walk in, put on some face paint to make, painted like a skull on her face, and put on like a bone necklace, and then grabbed a couple other bone things. One I think I said was like a malformed skull on a necklace, and would come back out. And so that was like her witch doctor garb. And whenever you guys would bring up the day-to-day stuff, she would then go and wipe it all off again and then come back out. When I say wipe it off, I'm being very loosely here. Like, you could still see remnants of the horrible paint that she was using. So definitely not quite in the right mind there. You guys did a lot of back and forth, sending her back and forth between the different mental states. So some highlights of what I'm going to call Granny Nanny there was Fitz. You guys talked about trying to fix up her house, and Fitz actually wound up giving her a proper door. And in exchange, Granny Nanny gave Fitz some flying monkey bait, but didn't tell him how to use it. And the flying monkey bait essentially looked like really dried, shriveled up, moldy fruit. You guys also picked some potatoes for Granny Nanny in exchange for her to, give you a little bit of rundown of the situation going on here. And because of the picking of the potatoes, you guys found a body buried in the garden. With that, you guys did a lot of the switching back and forth, even more than you did before, to keep her distracted because you guys wanted to figure out what is in that, what's going on with this body. So Navarre just constantly, anytime she would switch, he would immediately, like, before she can even get out the hut, say something else, and she'd go back and switch back, and could take care of all, do all the switching while everybody else took care of the unburying the body. And you guys did that without her noticing. And when Sai and Leorin finally dug up the entire body, its eyes shot open, and it just lay there, just looking straight up, not paying attention to you guys at all. And so you guys suspect it's a flesh golem. Granny Nanny or Witch Doctor Nanny, neither one of them talked about it, though. So she just, whenever you guys brought up, she just ignored that. Yeah, both forms of Nanny. The Witch Doctor Nanny highlights said that she could not cure the death curse going on, but the bones said that you would. That was the one question that she gave you guys for picking the potatoes for her. Like I said, she didn't acknowledge the flesh golem and did offer to trade some of her wisdom, telling you some omens through the bones, if you guys went and took care of a local nest of nasty pterafolk. With that, you guys kind of had a little bit of should we, shouldn't we moment. She's definitely a little addle-brained. You think the information you're going to get from her is going to be either not the greatest, misinterpreted, or one of those hard to interpret for types of information giving sessions. But after after Navarre taking a look in the Volo's guide and reading up a little bit about pterafolk, he just decided, pterafolk are really overall dicks. So we're just going to go ahead and take care of this anyway, because they're going to mess with other people that are coming around, regardless of what they do to the old lady here. So let's just take care of them, get them done with, maybe get some information out of her, maybe not, but either way, we're at least taking care of some pests. So off you went to the Petra nest. Took you guys the rest of the day to get to it, which was on the far side of the plateau, so on the west side of the plateau. And when you guys got to the area, you saw 4 pterafolk sitting on the edge of the plateau, like a cliff face type deal, and sitting there sharing a beverage. With that, everybody else went and hid, and Fitz and Navarre walked up and started arguing with each other. I forget what the argument was, but it's kind of funny from what I recall. It kind of sucks that I forgot about what it was. And eventually they brought the pterafolk into it. They tried not to. They were blatantly trying to get the pterafolk involved and get them to notice them. The pterafolk came over, and we got into what I will best describe as the "fuck you, fuck your mother" conversation, which was Navarre keep on telling the pterafolk they can fuck you, fuck off, and the pterafolk was because for some reason the pterafolk speak common. And Navarre was able to kind of guess that's because these people originally come from humans back in the day, and some sort of ritual transformed them into the pterafolk. So that's why he believes they speak common. But he would tell the pterafolk to fuck off, and the pterafolk, the main one, was like, hey, you know what? I'm going to go fuck your mother while I fuck off. How about that? And it went back and forth, and it was getting really ridiculous. And it came down to the pterafolk you know what? I like you, kid. I don't like Fitz back there, though. He didn't know Fitz's name. I was I don't like that guy back there, though. He's kind of a chump. We should maybe push him over the edge. So he slammed his... the pterafolk slammed his bottle into Navarre and was hey, take a drink. Navarre got down, got ready for whatever nastiness was about to hit his lips, and it was surprisingly not bad. I described it as a overly poured, like a fruity cocktail rum drink, but overly saturated with alcohol. So a little bit on the stronger side, but not as bad as he thought it was going to be. From there, Navarre used that to surprise the pterafolk with Tasha's hideous laughter, and just broke into combat. You guys handled them pretty well. Uh, they they had a lot of hit points, but because you guys were able to close in and you guys had four surprise actions, you put a pretty good hurting on them before they could even do anything. So that worked out really well and really good in your guys' favor there. Some of them did start to fly off and try to get away at the end there, but even with like disadvantage, you guys pegged down the ones that were flying away. Nothing really good for their loots. They did have a couple quivers that were used for storing javelins, but the javelins were all broken from them throwing them down on you and that kind of stuff there. But you guys guessed that this probably wasn't the only group of petrofolk they were talking about. And so you went down, followed the path that they were near, and found a second nest, or found the main nest, the petrofolk here. Everybody that did not have dark vision stood back because this was now nighttime, and Sai and Navarre snuck up. Navarre kind of watched, and he saw 6 of them standing around there. And so he stepped around into the petrofolk den, which was really like a repurposed, they took over some section that was used from Umbala. And he's sitting there drinking this big jug of overly poured rum drink and starts shit talking them. He's like, dude, I just told all your buddies that were up there on the cliff to fuck off. You guys can fuck off or you guys can leave. Kind of pointing out that like fuck off was he's going to kill him or, beat him up. And they were really confused because there's this one person clearly with evidence that he did something because he had this rum, this terracotta jar type deal full of the beverage that they were drinking as well around this campfire. And through some smart wordplay, Don didn't I don't know if he was really, no, he admitted he wasn't trying to do this, but he was using I. And so I was going with the petrofolk aren't the smartest. Don had some really good deception, intimidation rolls, his intimidation rolls. It had some really good intimidation rolls and was playing it off real well. And he was using the term I, and because he was using that I, he's not a warrior. He doesn't look like your typical wizard, but he doesn't look like a meathead. So they started whispering about like, oh, he's a wizard, man. We maybe should just leave versus fuck off, and they left without issue. And because of everybody else's good stealth rolls, they didn't even turn around and look and see everybody else. People were smart, extinguished lights, or faded against the mountains, did that kind of stuff. But from there, you guys went inside, checked out the petrofolk den. Things that you found, the Orin got a couple javelins. He was really wanting some javelins. He had a hard-on for actually doing some sort of damage from a distance because he was a knucklehead and only took like a longsword and a shield, I think. So he now has some javelins. I think 4 was the magic number. You guys found a couple more jugs of the go-go juice. There was a potion of greater healing. And then you guys took a look around. You saw the reliefs. And got a chance to kind of look at them in detail. And they told the story of, you're guessing the story of Umbala. And there was about 15 reliefs. The main thing that stuck out in your guys' mind was the reliefs kept on going up in like progression. You guessed it was probably about 1 every generation. There was a witch doctor-esque character that made its appearance in number 5, and it stayed throughout the rest of them. And the witch doctor seemed to be the same person throughout, and always depicted as a female. So like it didn't change where like the chieftain might have changed the way it looked. This was always looked like the same person throughout there. That said, you guys rested for the night, headed off the next morning, go back to Nanny there, try to get your answers. As you guys were coming up the mountain and coming back up the path to get to the top of the plateau, you look off in the distance, and Sai and Fitz notice that there is a ziggurat quite a ways off in the distance. Via jungle trek, you're guessing it's about 7 days or so. You guys also could see a river snaking around, and given what you knew on your map, this was the river Taff. because you can see like where the river path, where you know it's on your map, and you can follow it and you can see where it is. So you guys have some more information about the river path. You guys mark this ziggurat, and you believe this ziggurat is actually where Fitz wanted to go and investigate the rumors of some sort of helpful Naga. So that's going to be your guys' next tentative destination. But returning to Nanny, you guys, you talked a little bit, and she's like, you know what? You didn't quite kill the pterafolk. You killed 4 of them, and you ran the other ones off. So since you only killed 4, you're only going to get 4 answers. So I don't remember the exact questions, exact phrases, but one of it was like, how do we stop this death curse? And the answer she gave you was the 9 know the way to stop the death curse. So the 9 is what I just said there. And you asked, where are the 9? And she replied that the 9 are in the Traveler's Playground. And asking, like, I think was, oh, she alluded to the 9 being dead, though. I will say that. And then you guys brought up, like, well, if they're dead, how can they help you? And she said, you know, the 9 can help you if you give your body to them. That immediately sent off Leorin's Paladin 101 lesson of don't invite things into your body. So he's got a big, strong no feeling about that. And then the last thing she gave you was she told you she cannot bring the dead back to life, but she can transfer the dead soul from its dead vessel to a living vessel and give them a little bit of temporary return to this world. She lets us know that they will degenerate over time, and she won't do this at a cheap cost. So that said, if you want to ever do that, she does let you know that she will need a sacrifice. And she gave a quick demonstration where she had a dead monkey and transferred soul into a living goblin that she had captive someplace. And as soon as she did that, the goblin started acting like a monkey. And immediately Don was like, Don, who plays Navarre, was like, I'm going body shopping. And then when he kind of broke it down and realized a little bit more of what's going on, he realized maybe not. Maybe I'm going to stick in this body that I'm in. All in all, session was fun. Lot of role play stuff going on there, a lot of back and forth. I think we spent like an hour at Nanny's before we even got to the pterafolk. We did a little bit of discussion about the pterafolk, the reliefs, and that kind of stuff. I had a lot of fun with the roleplay. Yeah, I definitely feel roleplay is a bit more of my stronger aspect as a DM, and I think you guys a little bit more of a roleplay table. So we had a good time with all that. Looking forward to heading out to the next area. I'm sorry, I know I went on for quite a bit, but there's a lot going on in the session since we only had 4 players, so we covered a lot of ground. That said, prepare level 4 character for next week. I don't think we're actually going to hit level 4, but in case we do, have it prepared. So have a 4th level prepared. Yeah, really looking forward. It's a shame that I'm doing this on Thursday, and I'm gonna have to just not have D&D stuff to do until closer to the Wednesday. Man, all right. Maybe I'll do a non-recap video. Who knows? Talk to you later, guys. Bye.